Hello, and welcome to the Author Roundup, a special segment of the Book Connection Show where we meet up and coming indie authors and talk to them about their recently released books. Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm your host for today's episode of Author Roundup, and I'm excited to welcome you to another great conversation with our guest indie author. For over 2 decades, our guest author has worked in the Australian Emergency Services, serving the Western Australian and Victorian communities. Married and with three outgoing and energetic children, two dogs, and two cats, a day doesn't pass in their somewhat crazy household without a Bronx cheer or two. This is the first book of an ongoing series, and he hopes to ignite the imaginations of young readers while quite possibly embarrassing and creating a wry smile on the face of those reading with them. So, here to talk about his book, One Fart, Two Farts, Long Fart, Short Fart, let's all welcome David Pearson. Hi, David.
Hi, how you going?
How
Thank
are
you
you
for that. That was
doing?
really nice.
Thank you for this opportunity to talk to you about your book. So, I gave you quite a short introduction there. Is there anything you want to add to what I already said about yourself?
Yeah, that was really good. Obviously in relation to emergency services, I'm going into it a little bit more. I'm actually a police officer at the moment with the Victoria Police, working with the Water Police Squad. So
Mm,
out on the boats, out in the bay, and obviously in and around all the waterways in Victoria. So that's
mm.
basically what I do right now. But yeah, everything else on point. That was good. That was good.
Okay, and you just had a book recently published. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so obviously children's book, you know, humorous one at that, hopefully, that people think. But yeah, aimed at kids, 5 to 12 years old, as you said, adventures of a young boy who basically farts at everyone and then finds out later there's a bit of a downside to it, So that's sort of the nuts and bolts of the book. You know, so far kids have loved it, and probably more so it's the adults. The adults have loved reading it to their kids and their grandkids and get a bit of a laugh out of it as well. So that's sort of where the book comes from, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, so it's very funny. I've read it, and the illustrations are very nice. So it's going to make a good reading material for when you're putting someone to sleep, or perhaps you want to start a conversation with someone, right? So tell us what inspired the idea for your book.
Yeah, well, the idea really came from a dream. Yeah, there's not much more to it than that. It was really, I'm on leave at the moment. I'm sort of starting to get back to my creative side along those sort of lines. And so basically, yeah, I had this dream and woke up and sort of went from there.
So it started. It came to you in a dream, like you've said.
Yeah, correct.
It somehow awoke your creative side again. Okay, I think we can talk about that later. And what I want to know now is, you said this is a series of books, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and do we already know how many books there will be in the series, or is that still something that's in the works?
Well, well, yeah, again, another question I can't really answer. I do have one book ready to go. I've already written a
Mhm.
second book, which will be called How Strong Are My Farts? Goes a little bit more into imagination, a lot more characters, a lot more sort of funny things for kids and things that kids are going to love. I won't go into it too much because it's still to come out. But yeah, that'll be the next one, and then we'll see what happens. If people keep liking it or liking the books, well, I'll just keep churning them out, I guess, or keep writing them to, I guess, what the people want.
Will it still be the same funny book that you have for the first book?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it'll be. I actually find the second one funnier.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah, so
exciting.
yeah, I
All
really
excited
like.
to see that.
I'm more excited about the second. I mean, the first one's really cool, and I think
Mm,
everyone said they love it. But the second one, I think I'm really excited about.
mm. So we can expect that the collective theme for the series will be about the same character in your first book, and about farts
Yes,
as well.
yes, yeah,
Okay. So for
yeah,
sure,
yeah. Well, Well, at this stage, yes. Yeah. So I guess, yeah, I guess a little bit of inspiration for me was I grew up with Dr. Zeus and
Mm,
all those books
mhm,
and the rhyming and the things that go along with it there. So for me, I guess when putting these together, there's a little bit of inspiration was drawn from there, and the way they rhyme and the way that kids sort of love that sort of stuff, you know. So that's
mhm.
sort of where it sort of comes from a little bit.
I see. So, have you always, you said that you grew up with Dr. Seuss and, rhyming and all that. Have you always wanted to publish a book or a children's book and then a humorous one at that?
No, not at all. I've never even thought about it, to be honest. I know if I said it earlier. So at the moment I'm on leave, and I guess, being a police officer for 24 years, you go through a lot in that time. And at the
Mhm.
moment I'm sort of in a little bit of a recovery mode and trying to, yeah, bring myself back a little. And so I guess this was part of the healing. It was part of my recovery was, I was told to get back to my creative side, get back to, artistic, thinking differently than how I had in the past sort of
Mhm.
20 plus years. And to sort of expand my brain a little and do something that you haven't done and along those lines. And so I guess probably that collective thought and the dream which I told you about all came together, and that's sort of where it's come from. It
Mhm.
wasn't, yeah, it wasn't sort of thought out, oh, this is what I want to do. It was just sort of happened, I guess, like, and yeah, I guess unless you've got anything else, that's sort of where it's all started.
So, no idea at all that you would somehow come up with this book. That must have been the best surprise of all. Like, trying to go back to your creative side and then coming up with two books
Yeah,
because there's
well,
already two.
100%. And my friends will know, the friends that know me well know, especially when it comes to songs, rhymes, things like that. Stuff always comes out of left field.
Mhm.
And, we have a bit of fun with it and have a bit of a laugh. So it's this sort of stuff sort of comes easy. The rhyming, the putting this sort of stuff together. And, the little ditties, I've always done that even from a young age. Like I probably
Mhm.
should have went into advertising, to be honest, because it just comes naturally, that sort of just, yeah, craziness and just, yeah, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, funny.
Would you say you've always been like the jolly one in the group or the person who gives all the jokes
Yeah,
during parties
yeah,
and all that?
it does happen a fair bit. Yeah, it does come out, all that sort of stuff. It's, yeah, it's quite funny. There was a funny incident. I won't go into it, but my friends who know me well in LA, we're over in LA, and some funny rhymes and songs came out, and which is still around today, So yeah,
Mhm.
it's good. It's always
Mhm.
been fun. It's always been part of me, I guess.
So your book has been out for like, or when you were still creating the book or making the book, because it's a children's book. What are the children's reaction to it?
Well, it's funny you say that. I've got a couple. If you don't mind me going into my phone, one in particular, which isn't on my phone, but one in particular, I've got a friend, a basketball friend, Taylor. She's a school teacher, so
Mhm.
she actually got a copy of the book and she took it into her year ones. And she recorded it for me, and they're all laughing hysterically, and they thought it was really cool. And she actually said, her class in particular, every afternoon, all they want is the fight book, and so they just keep, over and
So
over
they
again.
call it
They
they
call it,
call
yeah,
it the fart book.
yeah. So that was really cool. I've got another friend of mine. His name's Dicko. His wife Tracy.
Mhm.
She actually, her kids are sort of year threes and fours, and
Mhm.
she went one better. She actually took some comments from all the kids. So she wrote it down on a piece of paper and she, sent me a bunch of comments, so, you know, things like from Jack, really good. I was first to see the gecko. So we've got a gecko on every page that turns up,
Mhm.
which it's good for the kids to find. This guy, Nathan, top tier comedy. This is from a young kid, top tier comedy, you know, humorous, makes you laugh out loud, interesting, Love all pages. Had a gecko. It just goes through. Yeah. Not just
Mm-hmm.
5 to 8s, all ages from Jack. Well done, Jack. Yeah, all these different comments, really funny. Actually, said it was really cool for me. I was laughing about it as well. And then I have another friend, Chris. He bought it and he actually took photos of his son, Hunter,
Mm-hmm.
as he opened it and read it and along those lines, and then sent the photos and posted it for me, which I thought
Mm-hmm.
was really cool as well. So yeah, a lot of people have gone out their way and done a lot of cool and fun things for us to promote it. So yeah, it's pretty good, pretty good.
That must have been an amazing experience for you, knowing that you actually made these kids laugh with your book. Really funny. And they call it the fart book.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
100%. It's I never thought, I guess it was just sort of as you know, a bit of a dream going in like that. And yeah, for all these people to go out and help you out, to get it out there so people can, obviously read it and read it to their kids and
mhm.
grandkids. It's quite humbling, really, knowing it's getting out there and people are actually buying it and reading it. So yeah, it's fun.
Mhm. And you mentioned it earlier, so I want to touch on that as well because when I was going through the book, I did notice the gecko in every page. Is that something that's intentional on your part in doing? Like, did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
intentionally put it there? And what was it for? What made you want to
Well,
put that surprise character there?
yeah, I think I'm going to probably put it through every book. We'll have something through every book like that. I don't know. I can't remember when I grew up what book it was or where I saw it, but I do remember when I was young
Mm-hmm.
finding that really cool. That where you saw a character, going
Yes.
through the book, and being able to find it, and we've sort of hidden it a few places, and just being, I remember that as a young kid finding that really cool. So that's the reason I've sort of put it in for, obviously the younger kids and the younger readers, being
Mm-hmm.
able to have that same experience that I did when I was young. So yeah, that's sort of where that's come from. Yeah,
So the gecko will be a mainstay in the series.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, we'll hide
It's
him a bit
actually
more.
very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll hide him a bit more in the next one, I think, to make it
Mhm.
a bit harder to find. Just so they
Uh,
know the kids know it's coming, but where is he? Yeah, so
right. And that's what I thought when I was reading the book. With picture books like this, with very beautiful pictures and all that, it makes it more interactive for the readers to go and look for something.
yeah,
And the fact that it's a gecko and sometimes it's a little bit out of place in the scene, but it's there, it just makes it
yeah,
funnier for me
yeah,
to be looking for that. And the kids, I'm sure the kids had a blast looking for all of the geckos in each page. That's why it
yeah,
came out in
yeah.
the reviews when they were talking about the book.
When I was going through the reviews and that, and Taylor, the year 1 teacher, like I remember her reading it, and the response you expect is, yeah, that's really funny along those lines, and she was like,
Mm.
oh wow, there's so many learning outcomes in this, and I was like, oh okay, all right, we'll put that down as well as as being funny. So
Mhm.
yeah, obviously, with her teaching and what she's doing, there's a few other elements to it than just being funny.
Right. Yeah, so they can, when they're reading it to their class, perhaps they can talk about the lessons that they learned from it or the takeaways
Correct.
from the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, David, tell me about your experience as an author this time. I know you said that it came to you in a dream and all that, but how long did it take you to complete this book?
So another funny story. So basically, as I said before about, dreaming and things like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
me personally have had a bit of a rough run for a while, and probably hadn't, with light sleep, and hadn't been able to sleep for a long period of time, and hadn't dreamt. So when
Mm-hmm.
I started recovering and getting better, and may I just say, in a great place right now, I started dreaming again, and started, it was all coming, everything was coming flooding back through my brain. And so basically I was sitting and, woke up, had this dream about fighting, and all that sort of stuff and the rhymes, and it all sort of come together. And I'm sitting in bed on my phone, and I'm obviously writing, the book on my phone. And
Mm-hmm.
my wife wakes up and she says, "What are you doing?" It's like 6 a.m. in the morning. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just writing a book." it's like she sort of laughs to herself, yeah, whatever, goes back to bed, so, half an hour later, she wakes up and she goes, what are you actually doing? I said, I'm writing a book. And she goes, you're not. Well, what are you really doing? Along those lines. And I just said, no, I'm writing a book. Do you want me to read it? So it literally took me 45 minutes. I know, don't want to sound cocky, but it literally took me 45 minutes to write it, to an hour. And so I read it to her and she sort of started laughing. She goes, did you actually write that? And I said, yeah, I wrote it just then. And she goes, that's pretty good. And so we fixed up a little bit of the grammar and a few different things, and sort of got it together. And she was like, yeah, that's good. And then so that same morning went downstairs and my son was down there with his girlfriend. And I said, I'll read you something. Tell me what you think. And so I read the book. He goes, you didn't write that. You got that off the internet. I went, no, I actually wrote that. I just wrote that half an hour ago. Or an hour ago or whatever. He goes, did you really? And like he kept prompting me, like, did you really? Like, you didn't write that. I said, yeah, I wrote it. He goes, yeah, that's pretty good. So that's sort of how it all started. And so I guess my first two people that I read it to, obviously family, but still,
Mm-hmm.
the reactions were very positive. And, I guess you sit back and you go, okay, maybe I got something here. So it sort of went from there and it sort of rolled into it like that. And so that's sort of, I guess, where the book came from.
I see. So it was fun doing that. You were able to write it at that point, but what made you decide that you want to publish it? I really want to create a book out of this.
Yeah, well, I think it was just probably every single person that I read it to gave me the
Mm-hmm.
confidence to go, okay, maybe let's go publish this. So everyone kept saying the same thing, that's pretty good. I reckon my kid, laughing, I think you got something there, so that's sort of where it sort of, I guess it was probably created some confidence in me.
Mm-hmm.
Never really thought, I mean, I guess I've always been rhyming and little ditties and different things all the time, but never really thought anything of it. Just sort of made people laugh. Obviously I'm quite a big kid myself. So I don't know. That's sort of where it all came from, and it just sort of went from there. And then the second one was a little bit easier, I think, because I had the confidence of the first book, knowing that people like it, and then the next one I reckon is going to be really funny too. So, yeah,
So the people around you gave you the idea that, hey, this could be a good book or a good children's book. Okay.
yeah,
So
correct. Yeah.
mhm. Are there moments when you ran into some challenges or obstacles along the way while you were creating the book? Because what you did was you wrote the book, but of course, to turn it into a children's book, it needs a lot more work than writing. So,
Yeah, correct. I wouldn't say challenges. It just took a little bit because, even with the illustrations, like you have to explain what you want in these illustrations, like to
mhm.
the point. You've got to explain where you want, where you want certain things, who the characters, basically how you want the pictures portrayed, what
Mm,
you want in the pictures. Obviously, being Australian, and obviously this going overseas, hopefully going overseas, and people love it overseas. I've tried to put some Australian animals in there, try to make it a little bit Australian. Why we've got the gecko, we kangaroos and koalas and different things like that, just to try and make basically make the readers go, oh, this guy's from Australia, or this is an Australian book. So put a little bit of fun into it that way. But I wouldn't say there was. It was a bit of a process to it, especially for me because the first time I've done it. But it was just sort of ticking the boxes. You just go along, what questions are constantly being asked, and you're just answering those questions. You're just moving through until you get that book. So yeah, it was cool. It was fun.
so this whole experience of coming up with a book, like writing it, working with the illustrators and all that, you said that this whole book or the entire book was came out of your creativity as you were trying to get in touch with your creativity, right? How
Yeah.
helpful was it to you?
Oh, it was huge. It was huge. It was, I don't think I realized at the time when I started the process, I probably wasn't in a great place. So I didn't actually realize how it was going to help me. I
Mm-hmm.
was just sort of going through the motions, hoping it was going to help me, if that makes sense. And then
Yeah.
the end result, even when the book came out, I wasn't really that pumped. I wasn't in that great place at that time. But as the weeks rolled on, and the support from so many people around me, the support from family, the support from friends,
Mm-hmm.
the support from people I didn't even know, it was just like, okay, I don't know, it just sort of woke me up a little, or woke me up inside, and I didn't actually realize, how good, or the benefits of the book. I didn't realize the benefits until afterwards, I guess. I don't know
Uh-huh.
how to really explain it much better than that, but it was, yeah, it was really cool. I don't think it was probably a couple of months after it came out was when it actually hit home,
Mm-hmm.
where I actually went, oh wow, this actually happened. It was, yeah, yeah. I don't really know much more to say than that, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So looking back now that the book is out and looking back at the process of writing it, publishing it, and all that, is there anything that you would have done differently? Because I know that everything was like it just came in a dream and then everything was fast paced,
Yeah.
but it was something that you could have done differently, do you think?
Oh, well, I guess that's a sort of a hard one, because I would have to say no, because if I changed anything up, we wouldn't be where we are right now, because of the way it happened, So what it has done is inspired me to continue to do this,
Mm,
and continue to write some more books and make them better and funnier. And really, if this is the impact of the first book,
mm,
and the responses I'm getting from so many people, it's made me, yeah, I guess it's made me go, yep, okay, well, let's just keep doing this and see how it goes.
see, so all of the feedback are somehow making you more motivated more than ever to go ahead and write more books.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's been a healing experience, to be honest. It's been really good.
That's amazing. Now, as an author this time, since you've already come up with two books, the other one's been published, the other one's about to be published, what advice would you give to writers who are just working on their first book?
That's a good one. I don't know. I guess go with your gut. Go with your gut, push all those negative thoughts away and have
Mhm.
a crack, just have a go and see what happens, because, I guess if you listen to those voices in your head, and everyone's got them, you'll never really achieve anything, will you? You've got to just, push that aside, have a red hot go, and just back yourself, and yeah, good things will happen, I guess, so, and if it doesn't, have another go, like no big deal. That's sort of, I guess, where I am with all that. Just have a go and see what happens. And
Mhm.
yeah, hopefully it works out.
Mhm. So, with the feedback you've been getting, the very positive feedback from your readers, from the kids, what are your professional goals for your book or personal goals for your book?
I have none, to be honest, right now, because it's really new. But one of the really cool things that I'd like to do, I think I've never really, I don't know, book signings and things like that. I guess it would be cool. I've never really thought about it, but I like the idea of going overseas. I like the idea of going to other countries, being able to go over there and experience, I guess, other cultures, other countries, and be able
Mhm.
to offer something, I guess. I think that'll be fun. I'm already sort of looking at a book show in LA,
Mm-hmm.
um, next year in April. That I think that would be really cool to go there. I've had other people tell me about, obviously European countries. We've got New Zealand, we've got Australia as well. Unfortunately, I just missed out on the book fair last week in Sydney,
Mm-hmm.
but I have teed up to go next year in 2025. So yeah, just I think just the experiences, just new experiences, being able to travel around with a book and have a bit of fun, I guess. Yeah, it'll be cool.
The book has really opened a lot of doors for you, and it's a beautiful thing. Like, creativity and all that, plus this book, plus going overseas. That must have been fun.
Will be. I think so. It's done more than just writing a book. I think for me, even if it wasn't to get out there, I guess the process of doing it and get my mind thinking differently, to get it creative, to get the cogs moving, has been probably the biggest outcome out of it. And then I
Mhm.
guess the people liking it and the great reviews and the feedback is all just a bonus. So it's yeah. I guess the travel will be fun. Yeah, let's just see what happens. It'll be good.
So, Dave, now that we're just right about to end this conversation, what message can you give to our viewers and our listeners as well? Your final message.
Well, in relation to the book, here it is here.
Yes.
Sure, everyone's seen it anyway, but there we go. That's it
Yes.
there. Yeah, go out and buy it. We have a website that's been created now, which is authordavidpearson.com. Obviously, pretty self explanatory, that one. That'll obviously give you links to Ex Libris, which is where the book was published. And
Mhm.
you can buy it just straight off that website. I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon and on a couple of other bookstores as well. But obviously, Ex Libris and that website is where you're going to get the best link and the best price. So I say get on that. And yeah, have a read it to your kids, read it to your grandkids, have a laugh yourself, and yeah, have some fun with it.
So if they would like to get in touch with you, they can just go ahead and check out your website.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. I also will be putting a QR code on the gallery, which will get through to my link tree. I've got some other things on there as well, which people can check out and yeah, link in on that too.
So if they want to give you feedback about the book or just really want to get in touch with you and all that, so they can just go ahead and check out your website.
Yeah, we'll have some things on there. I'll even have a feedback form on the website that they can put a few things in. And yeah, I'm happy to listen to all types of feedback, to be honest. So yeah, it's all been fun.
Thank you so much, David, for this very entertaining conversation. And to everyone watching and listening, I'd like to invite everyone to grab a copy of David's book. It's One Fart, Two Farts, Long Fart, Short Fart by David Pearson. It's available in Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, Ex Libris online bookstore, and other online reseller sites in paperback, hardback, and of course, ebook. Okay. So, to everyone who tuned in, thank you so much. See you again on the next episode of the Author Roundup.